All right, that's fine. Morning. Pat's not here. Doesn't matter. He's the least important of us. Dave's here. John's here.
Yeah.
Travis.
Travis is here.
What's your name?
Victor.
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 And
Rory.
Rory. All right. That's the juice. All right. Pat's here. All right. I am Andy McCabe. I've been doing water damage mitigation for about 15 years, 16 years. Over my years, I've learned a thing or two about how to make money and how to lose money. The point of this meeting is to give you guys the tools via this beautiful package here to allow you to make money, make more money for your company. So I need to know, who do you think makes the most money for this company? Anybody?
Brian.
Okay.
I'm just
Guys
gonna
in the field.
Okay.
I'm gonna take a guess that you're gonna say equipment maybe because it costs us nothing while it's.
Nope.
Oh, darn it.
There's no right or wrong answers.
The client
It's just the answer I'm looking for is the one I want, and you're right. It's the guys in the fields, the guys that actually do stuff, the guys that actually paint and put nails in the wood and clean up the messes. Those are the ones that make money. The rest of us are only here to support those guys that make the money. I can't make any money by estimating a job. I can't make any money by pushing paper across my desk. The money is made on the ground with boots on the ground. I'm going to illustrate that point right now. I need someone to run a stopwatch. One of you two, probably. Stopwatch, timer.
Mine's on my phone.
Now I can have my phone.
Get it out. I'm going to grab my camera.
Yeah, it's not out yet. Can you have a waiver on that $5?
Oh, man. There's something weird about this room.
And we don't have a whole lot of time this morning, so I'm going to try to bail through it. So we've got a timer. I need two people to help me hang up plastic. We're going to mask that window.
Travis? Two people.
Two people? All right. I can take the tape.
There you go. Wait. We got to wait for a timer. And that's a 12 by 10, so get the long way. Just start at that window and come as far as you can this way. You ready?
The window, hold on.
The window and the wall.
Okay.
Mask from the ceiling and just drape it down. You ready?
Ready?
Go.
I'm not gonna get to the ceiling because I'm not.
And who has a calculator? I need someone to run a calculator today.
I have one on here.
Well, you're the timer.
Okay. Can't do it all.
Who else has a calculator? Somebody's gonna have a calculator.
On my phone. Grab the calculator.
Grab one.
Oh, you got one right there.
There you go. Ah.
Sorry.
Well, it's fast to see you guys moving here.
So top to bottom and everything?
No, we're just the dust protection. That's a beautiful dust. Stop time. All right. Thank you, gentlemen. You can sit down. All right. What we just did is cover and protect a window, maybe some cabinets, maybe some contents from getting dust on them. What you guys don't know is that in Xactimate, I can charge 27 cents per square foot for what you guys just did. So if that's a 12 by 10 piece of plastic, what's that 12 by 10 times 27?
I thought he's gonna try to impress us.
Wait, what?
120 square feet.
120 times 27 cents.
Not to mention, you don't have to clean up.
27 what?
0.27.
3,270.
32 bucks. $32. How long did that take? 32.
47 seconds.
47 seconds. Give me 60 divided by 47. 60 divided by 47.
$1.27.
Times, no, that's not right. Let's say it took a minute. So it's $32 a minute times 60 is how much an hour?
1920.
$1,900 an hour? You guys just made $1,900 an hour. Can I get you guys back up here to hang up this piece of protection? I want to put it right here, if you would. Right here. Yeah.
Not enough, Travis, not enough.
I want this to stay up today as a reminder of what this is. This equals this. This equals more than your rental for a day of one of these. If you put up one piece of plastic, two pieces of plastic, three pieces of plastic, it's equal to one day's rental of one of these. So the things we do as part of our process are there for a reason. And yeah, they're there to protect the client. They're there to protect our butts from liability, from ruining stuff, but they're also there to make money. So this package here is designed very intentionally to do the things we need to do and not do the things we don't need to do. And to make our work as efficient as possible so you guys can be making $1,200 an hour for your company, while the rest of us just ride on your coattails and sip coffee. So I want to get right into this. I'm going to run through this as fast as I can. I'll be running a tape measure and a moisture. I'll be running all the equipment. You guys are going to be filling it out. The goal here is everyone here to fill out a full package of this paperwork today. So we're going to run through a mock dry down of this room. And you guys are going to tell me what to do. I'll run your measurements. You guys are going to have to do all the writing. Okay? So let's start at the very top. Photos. You'll notice there's a little camera there by there's a photo icon. There are 5 different spots on this piece of paper where we have to stop and take photos. There's intentionally 5 different spots because there's 5 different things we need to concentrate on, but they're not in the same place. So as we go down this sheet, you're going to realize we're going to be bouncing back and forth between pieces of paper. That's intentional. It's a process. So first thing we do before we get out of anywhere is take photos. We get out of the truck, we take a photo of the house. Take a photo of the house because that's what the insurance company wants. They want a photo of their risk. Then we take a photo of the source. The source is where the water came from. So let's say I got out of my truck and I took a picture here. And then the homeowner brings me in here and says, yeah, I had a broken pipe right in this corner. And it ran down here. That's the first thing I take a picture of. Okay, there we go. Come on. You can do it. And then maybe I step back so I get some more context to this picture, because a picture of a corner doesn't tell me anything, but the picture of this gives me the full view of the room. I'm not taking full pictures of the room yet because that's not where we're at. I put my camera down, fill out job information sheet. Your job information sheet is part of your contract. Where's it at? I've got one here, but you guys have one you fill in. So Amy and Pat, you guys going to figure out whether you use this or you use what you guys want to use.
Pat, would that be the intake sheet that Claudine starts to fill out for him and then hands to him, or?
I'm not sure which one we can use.
Yeah, so you guys will figure it out. So right now, we're going to pretend we're going to use my paperwork. I'm the client. Everyone write down on this piece of paper, Andy McCabe as a client. My phone number is 555 888 1234. And there's a reason I want you guys, there's a reason for everything I'm doing today, and the reason I want you guys to fill this out is because we can't be afraid of paperwork. Everyone from the top to the bottom of this company needs to be able to fill out paperwork. This is not easy, or not complicated. It's not a strange thing. There's going to be times where this is not going to be filled out for you. Most of the time, Claudine will fill this out for you. It'll be pre-done. All you're going to have to do is fill out a couple blanks. Let's skip the rest of this. Insurance company. If you don't know, ask the client, who's your insurance company? Are you going to turn in an insurance claim? It's very important. If they don't intend to turn in an insurance claim, that tells us where their head's at, and maybe we want to back off from this thing until they make a decision. If they're not able to pull the trigger on filing an insurance claim on something that we think is going to be significant damage, maybe they're not a client for us. And we'll make that call as we go. So insurance company, is this a water damage, fire damage, mold damage, sewer damage? It's a water damage. Mark that down. Job site contact. This isn't my house. Claudine lives here. So Claudine is a contact name. Her phone number is 555-123-123. There you go. Get an email address. A lot of times we're not going to get that over the phone. We're not going to get that when we do the intake here at the office. So get an email address. So it's claudine@herhouse.com. And going forward, these should not be stapled.
Why though?
Well, you'll see.
Okay.
Because we're going to be bouncing back and forth.
We knew that. She would have said that.
Yeah. Go ahead and bust those up, boys. Ladies and gentlemen. So we've got the photos taken. Put your initials in the photo box. We've got the job information filled out. Put your initials in number 2. Now we got a work authorization. You guys are familiar with this work authorization? Who has not helped a client fill this out?
Nobody has filled it out correctly.
Okay. Well, I'm not here to teach you how to do this. You're going to need to learn how to do this.
What I can tell you is one thing.
Yes.
Where there's pink spots, you need to initial, the customer needs to initial one of those. Most of the time, it's going to be C. That we are going to be billing the insurance company. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
The most important thing on there. If there is a deductible, that line right below it, 3 deposit, you would fill that in. Most of the time, I don't think they even know.
They don't even know that. They usually don't.
Say that, like, and that's the most important thing on this work contract. You guys have not been doing.
Okay.
Okay? That's it.
Don't breeze through this. This is one of the most important things we do, is CYA. If we don't get this filled out, we leave ourselves open to the client coming back later on and saying, well, I didn't authorize you to do that. I didn't say you could do that. I'll give you an example of where that can go really bad. I did a hotel water damage here in December, and the owner let us go 4 days of drying and demolition before she said, I'm not signing your contract. My client is still waiting to get paid $55,000 for the trailer-mounted desiccant and 200 air movers that he had out there, and 4 days worth of labor and material and everything else to do a demolition of a big hotel. She refused to sign the contract. The insurance company has no way to protect us because we don't have an authorization for them to pay us directly, and we're stuck holding the bag because an owner refused to sign a contract. Very important. This is the most important piece of paper in this whole thing. Everything else you can mess up. You got to get a signed contract.
And guys, Claudine highlighted everything for you, so if you want to keep this as a cheat sheet for you until you're totally comfortable, refer back to it, make notes on it.
Or you can highlight
They
it
will
with
be.
yours.
Right, but use this as your
It should all
example.
be highlighted. They will be keeping.
All right. Next step, you got your contract signed, fill up, put the initial there. Who got that contract signed? You guys did. You did. So that's where your initials go. Look over here. It says, first tip, take the time to tell the client what is going to happen. This form is designed in such a way to break up your workflow, to make it so that so that you are conscious of what the next step is and how you're not going to get ahead of yourself. At this point, you look at the situation. I'm gonna paint a picture for you. Broken pipe here-ish, ran down, and near as we can tell right now, the water is about out here in the carpet, and this wall is wet in kind of a triangle. So.
But that's just from visual. You haven't.
That's just, I haven't done any metering yet. I'm just painting a picture for you. You just walked in and saw this. So how would you explain to Claudine, the owner of this house, how would you explain to her what you're going to do next? What is, she's going, what's going to happen? What's happening? What do you say? Anybody?
We're gonna tear your house apart.
That's not the place.
Okay.
We're gonna find it, so you find the source of the leak.
Mm-hmm.
Get that repaired, and then mitigate all the wet, try to dry it out.
Mm-hmm. What else? Anything?
I like to talk to the homeowners, make sure they're okay first. That's who we're there to take care of it.
Now you're talking. Now you're talking. Yeah, there is. It is important to tell them what's going to happen. It's more important to say, hey, we're here. We're here to help. We're going to take care of the situation. Here's how we're going to do it. We're probably going to open up this wall. I'm going to use my meter and find out where the water is, and we're going to get you dry. We're going to make sure you're okay. That's the point. Okay, now we're in mitigation. Number 4, risk assessment. What hazards exist? And fill out your daily report. So, tell me what hazards potentially exist in this room. Just look around when you came in.
Electrical, trip hazards.
If there are any. Okay, I see a pile of wood over here. I don't know what that is. So, maybe I need to keep that in mind. If you go over to the initial box, you'll see daily report DR. So that means you got to go find a sheet that says DR on it, daily report. This is where you take the time to say, put the date, put your name, put the date, put the job number, and what you saw when you came in. Now, we're not writing a book. We're just making it so someone who doesn't go to this job site can understand what this job site was like. Arrived, homeowner was hysterical, pulling her hair out, water in the corner, some hazardous stuff over here, looks like wood. That's it.
Would you recommend, would they ever need this to document like how bad it was? Would you recommend any keywords, any?
None.
Okay.
No. 10,000 foot level, what's this job like? What hazards exist? There'll be an opportunity later on to fill out details and a little more color commentary. One thing to keep in mind, how many times do you respond as just one person responding to a mitigation?
Initially?
Sometimes.
90%.
Okay. What if you had somebody else there?
2 eyes.
2 eyes, yeah?
One talking, one taking notes.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yeah?
deal with the
No,
homeowner.
sorry, Pat, it was something else.
And you can look down the list and find something else for somebody to do instead of them sitting there watching you write on a piece of paper. You can always do that. don't skip 2 steps ahead, skip to the next step and see if you can get somebody else moving. Because that's what customers like to see is movement. That's why most of us, our first instinct is to grab gear out of the truck and roll it in. But you'll notice placing equipment is number 17. Yeah. So that's it's a way down the list, but we want to do something. So find something for your other guy to do, not instead of just having him sit there. But make sure it's according to the list. Okay, so let's say we have this open up and it's a supply line that we can see is broken. Okay, maybe the ceiling dropped a little bit so we can see it's a supply line. What category of water is this? Yeah, it's clear water. Category 1 water. So you've got your daily report, initial your daily report. Now we're on to our room notes. Find your room notes. This is different than what you're used to using. Once again, this is distilled down to the essentials, the simple essentials. What you guys have is a lot. It's 1 sheet per room, I think, right? It's 1 of these sheets per room with all this stuff on it. Well, you'll notice there's 3 sheets, or 3 rooms on this sheet. And ideally, we're going to have it in back-to-back, 2-sided. So you're going to have six rooms per sheet. So we're going to start our room notes. First thing we need is the room name and the dimensions. So what I like to do is take the affected room and any connected rooms I like to measure them. So what are you going to call this room? Conference room. All right. Conference room is, whose tape is this? It's not a Fat Max, Pat. Somebody pushes paper for a living. All right, that was a joke. It's a little early this morning. Let's go 14.6. I always round to the half foot. Why do I round to the half foot? It's just quick, and it doesn't matter. 18.6. In the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter if that was 18.6 or 18.4. What matters is if I get this done quickly and as accurately as possible as an aggregate. 7'8". Well, ceiling is.
No, do you round up always, or just round?
To the nearest half.
Okay.
So 7'8" would be 7'6". Okay. You see what you got there?
That's not going to shorten.
Not a significant matter, no. And you can do the math later, the length time, width time, height to get cubic footage. We're going to need that later on. You can do that right now if you want, or when we do the DHU calculations. I usually wait till I do the DHU calculations. All right. So what you got a conference room? What room we're going to measure? What are you going to call this room? .25 by the same width. See what I did there? I look at the room. I don't need to measure that again. It's the same width. Throw it down. So what is that? The other thing I'm doing is I'm looking around. It's kind of a mixed ceiling. Here's another thing to keep in mind. We're not doing a rebuild estimate off of this. We're not taking these numbers and trying to do the rebuild estimate off of this. You're going to have an estimator come back behind if there's going to be a recon. I'm going to guess that's a 17-foot ceiling. Done. I'm also looking around. How many openings do I have? How many hazards I may not have seen when I walked in? What's the condition of the space? If there's a big gouge in a baseboard over there, what am I going to do? I'm going to take a picture of that sucker. Because you know what? I didn't do that. Whatever, I'd take a picture. Pretending here. This is the magic of Hollywood here. Take a picture. Document the status of the job before you start. and it's going to cover your butt later on. Question?
Yes. So if your source is here and you want to get existing rooms around or perimeter rooms, you technically want that side and this side.
Yes.
And not even worry about that. Other than documenting any damage you
Well,
see.
yeah, correct. Except for what if this flooring ran in there?
Yeah.
It'll be continuous flooring. We're going to have to consider that. Yeah.
But if there were, because I thought there was a room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a
Just
what?
asking, just-
And that's exactly what we're doing at this point. We would walk around. Hey, let's get this office. I'll get Brian's office. Label Brian's office.
Okay.
14 by the same length. Who's killing me, Pat? Tape broke.
I'll go in. Same height in there?
Same height. Guess what? We don't need that tape measure anymore today.
Yeah.
Honestly. All right. So we got our room measurements. We got our dimensions.
Initial? No, we're not done.
Determine the extent of water intrusion. Think about how much equipment is anticipated and what materials are affected. That's what we just did. In your mind, as you're doing these measurements, you're going through these rooms. Man, that room is affected. It's got a little bit of wet carpet. The wall isn't wet, but the carpet is. I'm going to need some equipment in there. Oh shoot, there's a warehouse over there. I got to make sure if it's wet, we're going to need a lot more equipment because it's a big space. As you're thinking about that. But you got their dimensions down. So initial your room notes. Room photos. Who's going to take photos for me?
I'll take photos.
All right. How many photos should one room have? And this is something you can do if you're by yourself. You can measure and take photos at the same time. But 4? How many? Who says more or less than 4?
It says right here 5.
Well, at least 4. I want one from each corner.
You want at least 5.
I would say 5.
All right. Come here, Victor.
One to source.
Stand in the corner.
Source, yeah.
1 picture, 2 picture, 3 picture.
Conference room, 20.
Yeah. All right. Come to this corner.
2011.
1 picture, 2 picture, 3 picture.
Lobby, 6,162.5. Brian's office, 1,142.5.
And did any of those pictures get a good picture of the floor or the base?
Not really.
Okay. Give me a good picture of wherever best picture of the floor or the base.
Now, would you also take photos of the documented trip hazard?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. While you're here, might as well take that.
So why is 5 a magic number that you got on here to tip 5 photos per room?
Because most people take less.
Okay.
And if you're going to take 5, you're going to take 6. You're going to take 7. If you take, how many did we just take? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10?
Yeah.
10 pictures per room gives me as an estimator, as a project manager, a real good picture of this room. Now that's 10, 20, 30, 40 pictures. We're using digital here, folks. It doesn't cost us anything. What it does cost us if you don't take a picture is missing something important. So better to take a thanks, Victor. Better to take a picture than, when in doubt, take another picture. It's free stuff. Okay, so room photos, done. Now what are we doing? Someone read the number 7.
Stop leak, extract, protect, and content manipulation.
Okay, I'm going to stop the leak. Well, shoot, I can't do that. I'm not a plumber. I'm going to go call the plumber. I'm going to call the plumber. I'm going to go find the water main. I'm going to turn off the water main. Stop this. I'm going to extract. How many extractors do we have? What do we use here? I don't know, honestly.
I just call
Bates are the masters.
Okay.
We don't have our.
Do we have a price? Do we have a price per square foot?
I don't remember what it is. It's always been different.
No.
No,
All right.
It's the same
Per
cost.
hour.
It's,
So, yeah,
It's per hour. Okay, we get paid by the square foot. On mitigations, on insurance work, we get paid by the square foot. We get paid more if we use what's called a weighted extractor versus just a regular wand. It's a difference between 75 cents a square foot and 25 cents a square foot. How many square feet in this room?
that's cute.
yeah.
Yeah.
14 times 18,
18.
whatever that is. It's over 200.
That's a big one.
There's $250 on this floor waiting to get sucked up. We already know there's $32 hanging on this wall. We're going to protect now. Okay, let's say we're going to do some demo. It's going to get dusty in here. We're going to protect this floor. That's 200 times 27. We're going to protect these windows from this dust. That's $32 and $32 and $32. Before we even planted a piece of equipment or did any real demolition, we've made over $300 in this room. We need to pick that money up. Okay. We've done the content manipulation. We got this table out of here. We got these chairs out of here. Man, or we moved them over here and we covered them because we know our work area is going to be in here. Yep. All right, we got that done. Atmospheric readings. What do you guys have for a hygrometer? Do you have what hygrometer? Or do you have one that goes into the protometer?
I think we have each set.
Okay. This is where the wheels usually fall off the bus. Guys get that glazed look in their eyes and go, I don't know what to do. Go to RDC. This is a page that will save your butt. And this is also a page that most people never ever use. Can we leave? Did I close that door? I did, didn't I? Hee-haw.
It's hot up there by the ceiling, isn't it?
In the stratosphere up here. What we need is 3 readings for atmospheric readings. We need the outside air, we need an unaffected area, and we need the affected area. We only need 1 affected area. I put 3 on there. Sometimes people want to go overboard. I've never been asked for more than 1 affected area by an insurance company or an adjuster. But every form out there in the world is going to have 3 or more. And it's just added work you don't need to do. You definitely need 1 reading. These things don't react real quick, so you got to turn it on and leave it. I want the wettest reading I can. So where am I going to put this?
Next to the area that
Or if it's wet.
I'm going to put it on the floor.
Right.
That's right, John. I'm going to put it on the floor and wait right there and come back to it. So put a date and a time. Outside air is, you can always look that up if you don't get it. Unaffected, we'll get in a second. Affected. Let's say this had enough time. We got 75.3 degrees at 57.9% RH.
59 what?
59.7. Who knows what GPP stands for?
Grains per.
That's right. Grains per pound. What does that mean?
Amount of moisture that's in the air.
The amount of moisture in the air. How many grains of moisture are in the air? Do you need to know that to fill out this paperwork? No. You don't care. We figure that when we get back to the office. We do a mathematical equation, we get a GPP. Where that falls into, where it's important, is it's important that we graph GPP over time and it's going down. If your grains per pound, if humidity in the air is not going down, we're not drying properly. Okay? DHE reading we don't get yet. All right, so let's fast forward. I'm going to say, all right, I dropped this in here, let a few minutes in. It's 74 at 40% RH. And outside is, oh, maybe 56 today at 40% RH.
I missed the room temperature.
75.3. Okay, we got our RDC done. Initial that. Start our moisture map. What page is that?
The one just before that.
FP. Someone's reading. Someone's awake. You said you weren't awake this morning.
Maybe by now, it's been a half hour.
It's another space where people have a tendency to get hung up. They feel like they have to be Picasso. We don't need to be Picasso here. We've got room measurements already. All I need is room shapes. I don't even need measurements on this. A lot of guys go hog wild and they give you door swings and all, you know, it's like an architect wrote it. We don't need an architect here. We just need room shapes. So feel free to stand up, look around, but I want you to draw this room, that room, and Brian's office on your piece of paper as you see it. I want you to show me where the doors are and windows. Guys usually go one of two ways. Either start too small and use too little space, or start too big and run out of space. Guess what? There's going to...
Tables and stuff in the middle?
I don't want tables.
Okay.
Guess what? There's going to be a blank 2 or 3 of these sheets in your packet. You mess up the first one, guess what? It's done. Just start over. Oh, man. Basketball player here. In a past life. There you go. All right, label them. How we doing? Beautiful. Simple. Wonderful. I can't read your writing. Just kidding.
It's all about shape,
Yeah.
so, right?
See, you started small.
Yeah.
Feel free to go big.
All right.
There you go. Simple, easy, great, good. I can take my measurements, I can take the 10 photos we took, and I can take this, and I have a real good idea what's in this room.
Okay, so I'm looking at Victor's real quick question. So he broke it up in individual.
Mhm.
Do you want it put together like it's laid out on an actual floor plan, or does that create a problem?
This may create a problem, depending on how we want to use this, yes. Now are these,
Separate rooms though.
yes they are.
They are
Are these
separate.
laid out in a way that I can figure out how they go together? No, they're not.
No, they're not.
See,
And that's why I was asking. 'Cause
that could be good, that could be potential a problem. If I want to take this package and start my restoration estimate, that's not as useful to me.
Okay.
But yeah, that's essentially what we've done with the room notes, is we don't know how these go together. We have measurements, we don't know how to, And from an estimating standpoint, from a water damage standpoint, in Xactimate, they don't have to go together. But from a restoration standpoint going forward, we may want them together. But that's fine.
The good thing is you can read your writing.
Exactly right. So, starter moisture map. What is wet? Let me go, let me tell you what's wet. What's the favorite moisture meter in the room? Some people like Lingomat, some people like Delmhurst. What do you guys use? Protometer? Oh, okay.
That one and the other green.
Okay.
Two stars.
All right. So dry, 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 dry. Beep. Wet, 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 dry. Okay. This is 100% saturated. Let's keep going down. Wet, 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 dry. Okay, so it's getting smaller. Dry, 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 wet. All right. Baseboard is wet to here and here. Drywall is wet. What I just said. Go back to your moisture map. Put a little circle where the source is. A little circle. Oh, I just tore up my room notes. All right. You'll look to the bottom left. There's a little circle for floor readings. There's a square for wall readings. There's a triangle for ceiling readings. It's probably overly complicated. The most important thing is you have a reading somewhere. So let's mark a reading for this baseboard. That'd be the wall. So put a square in it with an arrow right over here somewhere.
In our actual drawing?
Yes.
Not this box?
Yes.
Okay.
And I don't care if you label it 1, 2, 3, 4 or A, B, C, D, as long as you keep going. So this one, let's call square A. You're going to come down to your grid here, put your date in. The top. Wait, no, date on the left, sorry.
Okay.
Date below the, and then A in the top. Yeah, Dave, right there. A, right, exactly. Yep. So, right here, our reading is 100 on day 1.
It goes right below.
Mm-hmm.
Below the A.
100.
Yeah.
Over here on material type, that little square, put A. Put wood, because we're measuring the baseboard. Dry standard. Is wood always going to be 0?
No.
Very rarely will it be 0, because wood has a natural moisture content to it. We've got 121 as our dry standard. It's important when you go back, you use the same meter. Don't change meters or don't change processes. If you had a different, you can stay in the Survey Master family if you're going to use this, but don't grab a Delmhurst and do the same thing. You're going to get a different reading the next day. Let's get a drywall reading. So on this wall, this is 100%. So mark, it's going to need to be another square, and it's going to be square B.
Again?
Yeah, it's 100.
So sorry, I'm a little confused. So I get all that, the wall, the square matches that, what you're wanting, but then why over on meter and setting did we say A and wood? If A is matching, I feel like it's intertwining.
Well, A, what we measured was wood.
But over here, we're doing the wall on A.
It's the wood on the wall. Yeah, it's a baseboard. Which baseboard was on the wall?
All right.
It's however the technician wants to figure it out. Your dry standard on this for B is 67.
And we want to write wall, drywall?
Yes, drywall.
And we were 100%, right?
Yep. Give me a circle right here somewhere. If you're running out of room in that corner, just put an arrow to it. circle 1 or a circle C, I don't care which way you do. That's going to be our carpet. It's going to be 100%. We're going to do the same thing in Brian's office. We're going to do the same thing in the warehouse if necessary. We're going to stay in here for the day. These are the points we're going to concentrate on lowering. Our job is to get these points back to the dry standard as quickly as possible. That's our entire goal.
Dry standard on the carpet also, on flooring.
Well, usually it's 0. And if it stays more than 3 days, what are we doing? If it's exactly right. Exactly right. How often do you guys, style point here, how often do you guys take out pad versus leave pad?
Take that
Only
all the time.
thing about
Just
it
take
is
that.
Whip that out.
Because we don't have the equipment to.
Well, it's a lot
Well, you
cheaper
gotta take
to
it.
replace it than try to dry it.
It can be. It can be. But if Bates has some proper, if your extraction guy has some good weighted extraction and is able to get some deep suction down in there, you can dry it and leave the pad all day.
Which
It's
is
called-
better.
It's called top-down drying. It's style points. Well, from a reconstruction and getting people back in their place quicker, it's easier to keep it. That's one less trade you got to come back and put in. You can just clean it and go, as opposed to getting a carpet guy back out here, maybe repairing a seam, putting some pad down. It just adds another day or two to the repair process.
So if you come into a place and it's completely flooded, you know you got whatever 3-4 inches of standing water on carpet. The place is a mess. You call right then if you're going to try to save the pad or not.
Mhm.
Chances are
Probably not.
probably not
But that's why you guys get paid the big bucks.
to make those decisions.
Make those calls. Just make it, and there's no looking back. There's no right or wrong in that point. We're the professionals. We make the call. The adjuster says, why'd you take it out? Well, because it was not going to dry quick enough. It was going to be a hazard. So we took it out.
So what's more money? Drying the pad?
Let me ask you this. There is a line item for pad. There's a line item for rolling back carpet for drying. But if it takes another day to dry because we left the pad in, how much equipment do we have there? We remove the pad, it's going to reduce our drying time, it's going to reduce our rental time. So there's a fine line. We don't want to be goosing it and going, well, we're going to dry it for 10 days because we want to leave the material wet. We're not going to do that. We're going to do what's right. But there's a trade-off there. If I can save hassle and rebuild time by leaving it, and I get another day of rental of 5 machines, that's probably going to be a plus for us. Top-down drying is, when I started learning, when I was taught water damage, there was no top-down. It was like, you get it out of there. Because we all thought the same way as you did, that it's just cheaper to get it out, cheaper and quicker. Well, now with understanding the process a little bit more, it's not as cut and dry. Pardon the pun. All right. Man, we're running out of time here. Okay. We got our moisture map done. Develop our drying strategy. Okay, what? DC, drying can...
So now real quick, so.
Where's my DHU calculations?
I've got one in there. so-
Okay. Okay, so we've got it stabilized, we've got it documented. Oh,
Andrew, can I just ask a quick question?
yep.
Back on the floor map. So then if you're going to the other rooms and making the same
Mm-hmm.
measurements, then are you going D, E, F, so that,
Yeah, or 1, 2, 3. Yep,
okay. And then each line is the next day readings.
exactly right. So, oh, it was right there. Here you go. You're going to need this sheet and your room notes. This is where you need a calculator. Label the job name, put the date, put your name on there as technician. Put your rooms on the left-hand side. And it sounds like somebody's already done our calculations for us, so you know the cubic feet of each room.
First one was 2011.8.
Bobby?
6162.25. And then Brian's is 1942.5.
This is the third place where people's eyes have a tendency to glaze over. Technicians don't like to do this, so they don't. This is also one of the most important things we do. We learn this in water damage class. Who's taking the WRT? Oh, everybody. Okay. Well, except, and you're just here to fill in for guys when these guys don't show up.
I guess so, yeah.
Well, there's book learning that you learn in WRT, and then there's real world stuff. We're talking about real world. You don't need a WRT if you can fill this out. It helps to understand why you're filling it out, but if you don't care why, just fill it out. So we've got our rooms in there. Give me a total cubic foot. Total them up, down.
116.5.
One more time?
10,116.5.
Okay. Are we using a desiccant or LGR-based drying system?
LGR.
Okay. So follow the black line down to LGR. Well, you can see where it says LGR class factor. Put your cubic feet right to the left of that. Yeah, follow the black line. I can make that line thicker or bluer if you want, or orange. Class factor. This is where WRT comes in. You see the class factors on the lower right. 1 through 4. So there's either a slow rate of evaporation, floors only got wet, a high rate of evaporation, the floors and walls are wet, a fast rate of evaporation, usually floors, walls, and ceilings are all affected, or specialty drying situations with specialty considerations. What do you think this is?
3.
Pat says 3. Who else says 3? Okay, well.
I was saying.
I would say 2.
I would say 2.
Floor, walls,
Well,
Why would you say 2?
I didn't remember hearing anything about the ceiling being wet. And class 3 I heard was mostly the whole room being wet.
Good point. Style factor. I would agree with you. I'd also say we're going to demo this. So this ceiling is not going to be wet anymore once we demolish it. It's drying by demolition. So it's not going to be wet when we're done. And maybe there's no insulation up in there and the wood's not wet. So it's in between 2 and 3. Make the call. Make the call on the field and just go with it. Whatever you feel.
I was just gonna,
And
where does this
Well-
number come in? Like, yeah,
Well, let's put 3 in there and find out.
okay.
So 3 class factor 3 is 40. So that 40 is your class factor. Do the math.
That number divided by 40?
Yep.
252.91.
252.91 pints. That's a lot. Because you look up here, and here's your dehumidifier types. Look at a 1200 will pull out 65 pints a day. An Evolution will pull out 70 pints a day. A 2000 will pull out 110. M200, you guys don't have those. 7000, how many pints will a 7000 pull out a day? I don't have it written down.
Should say on the side.
About 120. So how many 7000s do I need to pull out?
3.
Well, do the math. What's the math work out to?
Well, it's 240, but you've got plus that.
Right in 7,000. Right in your 7,000. There you go. How many units you think? You say 3?
I say 3.
Put in 3 and do the math. What do you come up to?
360. So if I do 2, I'm at 240, and that's under.
Exactly right. Thank you. That's a point I wanted to make, and I'm glad you made that. I'm glad you brought that up. If you are 1 pint short, guess what? You get to rent another machine for the day. Because we don't want to be accused of under drying the space. So if we needed 252 pints per day of removal, and 3 machines got us to 250, guess what? We got another machine. We got a 4th machine.
Oh, okay.
So you want to exceed that drying recommendation. So back to your question about which is more, what if you divide that number by 50 instead of 40?
It gets smaller.
It gets smaller.
And,
Your equipment requirements go down.
Mhm.
So it makes sense. The higher rate of evaporation, the more moisture we've got to take out of the air every day so we don't cause secondary damage by humidity going to other places and condensating and doing things like that. So the higher rate of evaporation means we got to take more water out of the air. We need more machines. That's what the class factor compensates for. So we got to use 3 machines, right?
So, okay.
So bring your 360 pints down to total actual pints.
So Andy,
For
in
the
this
7.
situation, we would want the 40 versus the 50 LGR.
If it justifies it, yes.
Yeah.
If it's justified, yes.
Right,
Can't gouge them, but
right, that's, yeah.
Yes. So you bring your 252.91 to the pints. Yeah. Bring your 252.91 over here where Pat has done it, all the way to your total. Yep, right there. Does your total here exceed your total here? You've done it correctly. Congratulations. Your drying system is set up correctly. You're not going to cause secondary damage. You have just developed your drying strategy. What else are we going to do? Let's say, okay, there we go. We know what we're going to do to dry this space. We know how much equipment we're going to need. What do we do on number 11?
3.
Number 11?
Oh. Talk to the owner.
And what does that tip say before you talk to the owner?
Discuss with your crew.
Talk amongst yourselves. Make sure you're not the only one with this crazy idea how to dry this place. Work it out with each other. Hey, I think this is how we're going to do it. We're going to put some air movers here. We're going to get some dehues, and this is what we plan on demo. Does that sound cool with you? Yeah? Yes. Okay, good. Then we go to the owner. Hey, Claudine, this is what we're going to do. We're probably going to end up tearing out most of this drywall. No! Not my drywall. Had a guy freak out on me last week. Water damage in the bathroom, tub overflowed for a long time. I walk in there, it's just kind of a small bathroom, and either side of the tub has baseboard, and it's MDF, and it's blown out. It's just gone. So I'm going, okay, crews, that's gone, suck out some water, blah, blah, blah. Next day, the owner calls me, why'd you take my baseboard? I said, well, it's ruined. It was gone, it was MDF, it was blown out. He said, well, now I've got to replace it. Yeah. Yeah, you do. Well, I'm not paying for that. Whoa. It didn't occur to me to get the owner's permission to take his ruined stuff. We've got to pause sometimes, and that's why number 11's in there. We've got to take inventory and go, you know what, this is not our house. We don't have permission just to run hell-mel through people's houses and destroy stuff. We've got to get their buy-in. Most people are going to say, yeah, it's wet, get the hell out of my house. I don't want it. Some people are going to say, well, no, we'll leave it.
And there's a form in this packet, the work authorization packet, exactly for that. It looks like this one.
It's a waiver.
This is it. It's a waiver. I give Portland Construction Solutions permission to dispose of the damaged contents, da-da-da-da. And we also had, the trim.
Mm-hmm.
Susan Reed. She said, I want my trim back. And Travis had gotten the.
Good job, Travis.
Yeah, you filled out this form, it was beautiful, you know, the
Nice.
diaper changing table, the diapers, yes, she wanted those back, and we said, you signed this, so no.
Yeah.
And then she wanted the trim, and of course, we didn't think to put the trim on there, because
She
trim
had
is garbage.
moldy, wet items, right? It was mold. And at the end, she decided not to turn in an insurance claim and she panicked.
She got denied coverage.
She got denied because she
She's
let
seen
the
dollar
water go
signs.
too long and she had mold,
And she's seen
of
dollars.
course, and she saw dollar signs. Well, we need to help our clients through that process, and you know what? This is shot. One way or the other, this is gone. I need your permission to take this out.
So all those things need to be labeled. Trim, carpet, drywall.
Details.
Not if you're throwing it out. Not if you're throwing it
To get
away.
permission, right?
Need to be listed out.
Mhm.
I wouldn't go through a whole lot of trouble. I would say, you give me permission to dispose of water damaged content and water damaged materials.
My
Um,
understanding of it was for that form was it was like contents.
that's usually what that's
Like
for.
their
Yeah.
personal property.
You definitely, before you throw anything out contents wise, you've got to get a signature. You've got to get an
Which was
idea.
great on that one.
And it helps if you've got a list and pictures. And I usually say, as a mitigation crew, don't mess with that stuff. Put it aside. Stabilize it. Get it out of harm's way. But we don't want anything to do with contents here. We don't. Unless Brian tells me otherwise, we don't do contents here. It's just a big old bag of worms that we don't want to open up. So set them aside. Don't make their problem your problem. Put them in the garage. Put them in an unaffected room. Hey, let them know. Hey, these are wet.
You can place it somewhere until, you know, we process it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Put them somewhere else. Put them on plastics. So they're not going to get dripping on something else or whatever, and cover them if they're moldy. Get them out of harm's way, and then forget about them. They're not your problem. They're their problem.
And that's an area that we can charge for content.
Contact manipulation. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Every day of the week. All right, so Claudine doesn't have any of these concerns. She wants you to get to work. We get to go to number 12, demolition. What are we doing first? Protection. We're making money is what we're doing first. Got some money on this wall. We got some money on this wall. You know what? Most of this carpet is dry, and we're going to be tracking drywall dust in there. Guess what? Carpet mask, baby. Carpet mask is more expensive than this.
So.
I don't know it offhand, but.
Let me ask a quick question. We're gonna demo this wall, say 4 feet over.
Mm-hmm. And this wall 4 feet over.
Yeah. Can I come 5 feet over, 6 feet over, put my plastic there so I don't get any dust on that wall? Is that stretching it?
What do you think would be
Well, I gotta clean it if I don't anyway.
exactly
so
right? Exactly right.
If I'm gonna get paid for plastic, that's what I'm gonna do.
Exactly right.
That's not, okay. As long as we're not pushing, we don't want red flags, basically.
No.
You send something in the industrial.
No.
wait. Okay.
No.
Are they gonna say something about you protecting the
Well,
wall?
there's
It's gonna be
pictures.
painted?
There's pictures and stuff hanging on that wall. You don't want to have to clean all the pictures and.
Even if there isn't, it's still gonna get dusty.
Right.
Which means I'm gonna have to clean it or take care of it somehow.
Yep.
So by putting up some plastic, I'm getting paid for it and it's saving me.
I'll tell you what they won't pay for is cleaning that wall. You're not going to get paid for that. There's no water damage mitigation line item for cleaning a wall. There's a restoration line item for cleaning a wall, but that's in fire and other situations. So
if I dirty it, I'm gonna pay for it for free.
exactly right. You're going to do it for
Throw
free.
it away.
So let's do something we're going to get paid for instead of
I
making a
thought they would
mess.
say, like, when you, I'm thinking of Shaw, where we talked about if water bear didn't like protect areas, but as soon as they started putting into drywall, that dust went other areas.
That's
Yep.
other stuff. They were running fans as they were cutting and sucking in their HVAC
Okay.
system and yeah,
Okay.
causing
Yeah.
other problems.
And have we set any equipment on this job yet?
No.
We're not moving any air, and that's intentional. So we got our plastic up. What do we do next? Oh, hold on. We take pictures of our beautiful plastic. Take pictures of your money, because that's the only way you get paid. All right.
So, what if this is like someone's kitchen
Uh-huh.
or bedroom and they want to use the space? So you like create a containment area?
Mhm.
You wouldn't do like protection on windows outside your containment if you like contain the area?
If you want to build a containment, yeah, you get paid for that too. It's like $1.25 a square foot. To make the right call for the situation. Yeah, and I agree. If it's a kitchen, they don't want to be out of their house. They don't want to be out of their kitchen. They want to use their kitchen. You're going to have to go to extraordinary measures to set up a containment area so you can still do your job and get your drying done. And they can use their kitchen. Keep in mind though, if I put a containment up here, what have I done to my drying system? I've just reduced it a whole bunch. I've taken it from 3 7,000s to 1 1200 that's going to sit in here and dry this thing out. Not that we need to be looking at, okay, how am I going to make the most money? You need to be aware of how that affects your drying system. We have reduced a drying system by more than a quarter by putting up a containment here, and that might be the right call. Make the right call and just go with it. So we got pictures of our protection. Initial that. If there's initial there and there's no pictures, you're lying. We don't like lying. Okay, 13. Demo. Follow your drying strategy you came up with. Remove wet materials. Remove wet and non-salvageable materials. Not all wet materials have to come out. You make the call. All right. What am I doing? I got to pull this base. It's MDF. I know this isn't, but this, let's say it is, it's blown out. I've got to pull this base. What's the first thing I do? Cut the caulk. Thank you. Cut your nice line below and behind the drywall, not up at an angle. Guys that have done this once or twice know what that means. What you don't want, you want to be able to put base back up here without having to repaint this wall. Now, this wall, we're going to demo, so it might be a moot point. But what if this, we got to take this base, you can't just hack it right here. We got to take this base all the way around. What if it's got a joint we can't deal with? Or it's cupped or whatever else. So take it as far as you need to. Cut a nice clean line, get that thing out of there. So we're pulling.
And you don't break your base for it, you take out a section of it.
Yeah.
Don't snap it.
Unless it's shot, and he's got to fit in the bag.
Well, if you're going to do an ITEL or something like that for carpet or trim or whatever, don't, cut a nice piece.
Right. And do we worry about ITEL on water damage? No.
No?
No. I don't want you guys worrying about ITEL. Not on the water damage portion. Mitigate restoration, yes.
Okay.
Repairs, yes.
Okay.
But that's a different function above and beyond the immediacy of what's going on right here. We don't want to be distracted by.
Bring in samples of the material that was removed.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
And,
If you think it's going to be saved
Right.
or matched in any way, you've got to bring some of that back in your truck. But otherwise, cutting a piece of this carpet, you don't want to determine, as a mitigation guy, as a water damage crew guy, I don't want to make the call whether this carpet's coming out or not. I'm going to let somebody else.
Try to dry it first.
Yeah.
And let someone else decide if it's going to stay or not.
Yeah. And usually the adjuster likes to make that call anyway.
Right.
I can't even make that as a project manager. I hesitate every time. I'm like, oh man, is this carpet going to go? Let's leave it up to the adjuster. That way we don't have to fight the fight. And we get paid to dry it. We get paid to dry it. We get paid to suck it out. We get paid to clean it. And then it might be removed anyway. Okay. We made our money first. Okay, so demolition, what do I do after my demolition? I take my pretty pictures of my work. Admire your work. Be proud in what you did. Nice clean lines, no big mess. And you know what? I'm too close to my subject. I can't see the overall effect on this room I just had when doing my demolition. So I'm going to come all the way back out here and take another picture so I can prove what I did.
And I don't even know if I maybe misread your reaction wrong. On the mansions at Summerlin, the wood floor for Don Marks, where it was in the bathroom, you and Blaine both kind of went, because the wood was cut kind of right in the middle. Was that just,
That
would
was,
we have done something different, or was it just the type of wood and you're like, oh crap, this is gonna be hard?
Well, what we had there was a pergo floor, and upon initial inspection and even secondary inspection, we didn't think it was going to be damaged. And we looked at the space, and it was a continuous wood floor throughout the whole space. And I remember this. I mean, we were out there, and we had that discussion. On day one, we both came to the, and it was like, it's going to stay. Well, after I left, these guys were still here doing their thing, and the wood started to show some swelling. Did we need to take it out? Probably not. We didn't need to take it out. Was it going to be replaced? Yes. It was ruined. It was damaged by water. It was going to be replaced by the insurance company, so it had to come out. We were fortunate enough in that situation. She had some spare parts. Otherwise, and that's the look that I shared with the adjuster of.
How much floor are we gonna have to replace?
It's the whole house.
So what
It's the
should
whole
we have done
house.
different then? Left the wood?
Left it down.
Have to done let the adjuster make a call.
It wasn't.
What if they
And
get
not.
out there?
You did the right thing. I don't want you to say.
Wait, I'm just
Oh.
wanting to make sure, but if there's learning things so that
Sure.
we don't.
Yeah. When in doubt, if it can be dried effectively or it's not going to get any worse, leave it.
Can we get?
Let somebody else make the call.
For not removing that,
Can you get in trouble for not removing? Yes.
because
You grow.
we know how things are put together. I know what's underneath that. I know that water's trapped. If I can't.
Right. Well, in this situation, we had the vanity out, so we knew what was underneath it. It was lightweight concrete. And so we had pergo with a little bit of a pad and lightweight concrete. It wasn't going to get any worse. It was not going to mold out on us.
So if you try to dry it for a day or two and it doesn't improve, then you're talking about removing it.
You remove that wood from your drying equation because you know it's going to be replaced anyway. You concentrate on you wouldn't even take a moisture mark. You wouldn't mark it because you're not going to try to dry it. You know it's in your mind, that's going to come out eventually. We're going to note it, we're going to document it, but we're not going to try to dry that. It's gone. So we're going to concentrate on what we can dry.
What about the downstairs when they cut the carpet out? The carpet sample downstairs in that lower unit.
Did we cut that carpet sample out?
Cut it out? The gray carpet?
No.
No.
I did.
You cut the carpet out? Okay.
Well,
With the adjuster standing right over my
Okay.
shoulder.
you cut the carpet out, but it was already cut for lifting of drying.
Yes.
It already had the cuts.
Those are probably for the
That's different
seams.
cut though.
Right, no,
Cut
that's
is
what
for
I'm saying,
seam,
yeah.
Cut is for a sample.
Yes.
So,
Yeah. So that was when the adjuster tells me
Yeah.
we're going to replace this carpet, I need an ITEL sample.
Yeah.
I ensure that he has no way to back out of that sucker. I'm taking that sample right
oh, yeah.
here. I'm not going to find some closet where maybe later on he can change his mind. Go, oh man, let's try to save that carpet. Yeah. No.
Getting involved,
Boom.
you just- yeah.
So I mean, I didn't hesitate. It was like, oh yeah, okay.
Square, can take the.
Less than a minute later, it was done.
It would tell
And he had
most
no
police
way.
Reaction at that time.
She actually was okay on that one.
Because
She was getting new carpet. in
she
her
was
whole
getting new
place.
carpet and she needed it. Her cat's already ruined the carpet in there.
Oh
Walkways, there's, the doorways.
Oh yeah, they cut the carpet. Yeah.
Yeah.
We made the right call.
Yeah.
We left it. The water damage crew didn't make that call because they didn't have to make that call. They left it to somebody else to make that later on. They stabilized the situation, did it. They cut good seams.
Yeah.
They took the pad. The carpet was already gone. But we
Yeah,
did everything.
lucky that the adjuster said, let's just do the whole thing.
If the adjuster hadn't done that, if the adjuster hadn't said, hey, well, let's just seam that in and make it work, we could still have done that because the water damage crew did their job right.
If it was gray water, we would just hold it market, right?
Yes. No questions. It's a liability issue. Last thing we want is somebody to come back to us and say, hey, that was gray water or even category 3 water that came out of my toilet and you guys didn't replace that. And they're gonna, you know, most people don't know this.
Poop all over.
Most people don't realize it. What the rules are and how to do things. But there's this thing called the internet, and they're gonna go find the S500 or the S520, and 4 years from now, they're gonna call up and say, hey, you left sewer crap right here. S500 says you got to replace. we go back to the S500, the S520. What's it say? Category 2 or Category 3 water in porous materials and fabric. It says throw it out. No doubt. Get rid of it. No one's ever going to hindsight you on why'd you take that carpet out? Oh, it was sewer. Enough said. Enough said. Get it out of there. We don't want the liability. Okay.
So you took your demo pics.
Demo pics. Document what was done. We just might make it, folks. Okay.
Now we get why you don't want these stapled.
Yeah. Okay, we're going back to our room notes. Okay, conference room. What did we do in here? Start from top to bottom. Was water extracted?
Yes.
Yes, there was. How much do you think? I'm setting you up here, so whatever answer you give is probably going to be wrong, but I'm going to let you be wrong. What?
5 gallons.
We won't know until we do our readings.
We did an extraction. We had an extractor come in.
20 gallons.
Yeah, you had your extractor come in. So you had an extractor guy come in. I'm setting you up so I can set you straight. I don't care about square footage. Guess what? Half this room was extracted. You get to write 1/2, half. Let the estimator figure out later on what that square footage is. Because when you guys start putting down linear footage and square footage, what you usually do is short yourselves. You usually underestimate what you do. And at this point, if I say I extracted half this room, I extracted half this room. Maybe I extracted a little bit less than half the room. Who's going to care to go back and call us on it?
So if we called out, who was it, Bates we call out? And we don't know how much water they pulled out. We don't care because we're not calculating amount of water.
Extraction is never done by the gallon.
Okay.
Okay, there's rare exceptions. In this context, never done by the gallon. It's always by the square foot. So, did they use a wand? Was it weighted? Heavy extraction? Did they make more than one pass? What do you make something up? What did they
We
do?
did weighted because that pays more, right?
That's right.
They usually don't have weighted ones.
They
They did
today.
They did today. They did today. Yes. Bates just got a weighted extractor. Nice. Okay. Drywall demolition. Did we do a flood cut? Probably not. We did. Okay. So how many square feet of drywall did we take out? Well, let me show you. About here and here by 8.
6,428.
You're thinking too hard.
8 by.
That's about a quarter of the room. Quarter of the walls. Eighth of the walls.
It's a quarter of the room. There you go.
Quarter of the walls. 1/4 W. Quarter of the walls. If we did half the ceiling, it would be 1/2 C. Ceiling. Just abbreviate it and keep it short. Keep it short and simple. Insulation. No, there was no insulation. Oh wait, do you think there's insulation in this wall since it's a warehouse wall? Probably is, isn't there?
Yeah.
Let's estimate 1/8 of the walls for insulation.
Then when you have a flood cut?
No.
We didn't have it here.
Took the wall.
We just took the wall.
You might have.
Sorry.
You might have. We're in this room. You might have been in there.
Sorry.
Just
You can
kidding.
tell I'm out in the field.
I'm just kidding. No, you're doing great.
Floor.
And it's awesome that you're here, that you want to learn this. And I think, Amy, you as well, that it's important that everyone knows what page we need to be on. So it's great that you guys are taking part in this morning.
Knowledge is in Brennan.
Flooring removed. Did we remove any flooring?
Yes.
Did we?
No, we're just lifting it
No, we
out.
dried it with heavy extractor.
We decided to dry it in place.
I thought we removed the
No.
big piece right in the middle for the
That was a hypothetical. No, we did not remove any flooring. Trim,
You put no in there, right? You just
0. 0 or a slash. You want to indicate that you saw the box, but you didn't put anything in it. So don't leave it blank. Put something in there. 0 is fine. Trim. What did we take out? We took out some base.
That wall, half the room.
I would say half the room. Half PC, just so you know. Perimeter of ceiling or perimeter of floor, it's PF. I usually use PC. So 1/2 PC.
So do you put an X?
But
where
you
it
can
says
use,
base then?
yeah, mark X in the base, and then
Half PC.
and up there, yeah, 1/2 PC. You can write in perimeter of floor. You can write in half of the floor. Put it longhand. It doesn't matter. You don't need to know all the abbreviations right up front. It helps me later on, but it's more important the information gets put down here.
Perimeter ceiling. But it just, either way, perimeter or floor.
Perimeter. Perimeter.
They would have the perimeter, and then you scratch the base box.
Yeah. 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 Base, half the perimeter. Done.
Okay.
Antimicrobial. Do you guys use that?
Yeah.
Usually do? Do you think we're going to use it here? Should we?
Clear water.
Are these walls steel studs or wood?
Wood.
Are they going to stay wet more than a couple days?
Yes.
We should probably think about using it. This is something you put a WAG on it. I would say 20 square feet. You know what a WAG is? Wild ass guess? Or a swag? Scientific wild ass guess? WAGs are good. WAGs get us there. Cabinets. We didn't have any cabinets in here. If you had, this is where you would put how many you removed by the linear foot. Uppers are different than lowers. And sometimes you take the toe kick out to dry underneath the cabinet or a vanity. Sometimes you just drill holes in a toe kick. Those are two different functions. That's why they're here. You don't get much money for drilling holes. Just FYI. So when in doubt, take toe kick, because you can always just slap a new one on. Protection. This is where we make our money. I usually do it by the sheet. Sometimes the sheets come in 25-foot sheets. These come in, this is 120. So how many 120s did we use? 1, 2, 3, we had the table, 4, 5.
Carpet.
Carpet mask is different, so let's go. Protection is 5 times 120. Let me figure out the math. Let the estimator figure out the math.
And that's just containment or mask.
That's masking. I need to edit this form. I need to edit this form so we can get paid for floor.
I was gonna say, where's that one?
So write in carpet mask, all, wherever you can.
Could we just write it in a box plus carpet and write all?
Yes,
Okay.
that's perfect. Plus carpet, all. I like it. Simple. Unfortunately, when you try to distill things like this down from one page to a third of a page, you lose some of those details. I think that's an important detail to put back in. Contents moved. How much time did we spend? I usually do it in quarter hours. Half hour, quarter hour, a full hour, and make sure that you know that it's for every dude that's here. So if you've got 15 minutes, let's say we spent 15 minutes moving contents, well, that's 15 times 2, so that's a half hour. So we move contents for a half hour. Those are boxes. Those, if you're packing boxes, you guys usually aren't going to do that. You don't have boxes here. You don't have stock boxes on the truck. You won't use that. Doors removed. We didn't remove any doors. Appliances.
So real quick, when you got that line that says doors removed, you've got a checkbox, but you want just to zero site so you realize that we saw it.
Yes.
Document it.
Yes.
Okay.
Please. Or just draw a line through it. Yeah.
I just did NA on all the ones.
Yeah. However you're most comfortable documenting it.
But you want to see something in every box so you know we didn't miss
Well,
something.
I want to see that you checked it off. If you put a line through it, I know you read it, and I know that item is definitely not in this room. Just so you know, we didn't do any appliance manipulation in here, but if we had, DW is dishwasher, wash is washing machine, refrigerator RF, dry is dryer, obviously, RG is range, MW microwave. Now we get to do our equipment. Let's make sure we're still on task. Room notes. Nope, we're not doing equipment yet. We're back here, number 16. So initial, number 15. Now we're performing our drawing calculations. Looks like we got out of sync. I need to move that up. I need to move that drawing calculations up because we already did it and it made more sense up there. So, set equipment. Bring in your gear. How much gear are you going to need? It says here to wait 10 minutes after all equipment is on. Why do I do that? So I'm not going to blow breakers. Yeah. Yeah, that's very important. The last thing we want is to come back the next day and everything's off and things just dripping wet still. Pull in your equipment, and then what do? I prove that we pulled in our equipment. When I'm taking picture of equipment, I'm making sure that I can see the... Not necessarily... Well, yeah, that cord needs to be connected. I want to see the asset number. This here, nice, gorgeous axial. $37 a day, by the way, besides the regular snails, $25 a day. If you can use one of these will function just the same. Use one of these. Get these off the shelf before you get your snails off the shelf. So I'm standing back far enough so I can see where it is, but I can still make out the number. 9 times out of 10, 99 times out of 100, I'm not going to get called on this. But that one time, the adjuster's going to say, you didn't have that equipment there. Oh, yeah, I did. Here it is. Here's a picture with a date, the equipment number. Well, you just moved that fan from one room to the other. No, I didn't. This fan has one number, this fan has a different number. This is all CYA. Okay, so we got our pictures. We go back to room notes. So pull out RN. Now we're down at the bottom. These initials mean DH is dehumidifier.
Sorry, can I just say real quick?
Yes.
So on room notes, lobby, Brian's office, we would just cross off every box because we didn't do anything in those.
Correct.
Okay.
Let's say we extracted in there. Where would we extracted?
Half the room.
I would say no, less than half the room. I don't think it went a quarter of the room. Mark down a quarter of the room extraction. Heavy, or no, weighted because they had it weighted in that office.
You know, you said quarter.
Yeah, well, then was 0 because he didn't want to on this side.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, it's a good point.
Yeah.
So under equipment,
Single box.
the equipment is done by room. So DH is dehumidifier, AM is air mover, NA is negative air machine, DES is desiccant, WD is wall drying unit, FD is a floor drying unit, hardwood floor unit. Do you guys have any injected dryers or hardwood floor?
No.
You should probably think about that. It's a good piece of equipment to have. You could charge a lot for those. And you can potentially save a lot of material. Have you used an injector dryer?
Yeah, the floor dryers.
Yeah, floor dryers are, but injected dry, if I can blow air into this wall without demoing this wall, let's say it has a mural on it. This is a true story. I had a mural, a multi-$1,000 mural in a old folks home that they did not want a demolition, and it was wet top to bottom. Well, we were able to get enough air in the top, enough air in the bottom with injected dries. We were able to save that. So we got to. But you guys don't have that option. You don't have an injector dry unit yet. So in here, we've got an air moval, AM. This is 5001. What's the MI stand for on your?
Mitigation.
Oh, okay. So this is AM 5001. And it was set today.
Okay.
And we also have DH There it is. Oh, you have it marked D007, is that what that says? Perfect. So is this an S or a 5?
It's a S.
So what's that stand for? Just fun?
Well, the snails are marked A. I think those are marked S along with the air scrubbers.
Interesting.
S.
Hmm.
Tile system.
Okay. All right. Whatever makes sense to you all. I need to know, from the estimator needs to know whether this is an axial or a snail. I can get that off of pictures, or I can get it off of inventory.
So it should be labeled A5.
It should be A001 would be more accurate than S001. And that way we know just by seeing this A001, oh, it's an axial fan. Or S003, oh, that's a snail fan. That would be helpful. And it would, for your guys' process, if you were to relabel those in that way, it would save so much time writing these estimates.
Program was.
Yeah, well, I'm sure there was a reason. So what are we going to have in here? We're going to have this, but this wall is wet in 2 different places. We're probably going to have another.
We already know.
We already have
we're having
three set up
three of
there.
them.
Not in here, in the whole system.
So one. Brian,
If you had all that equipment in this
Oh,
room,
okay.
what would happen if you had all that equipment running in this room? Besides getting really, really super hot. It'd dry really fast, you could blow out that trim. That trim would suck in, you'd lose all your joints, because it'd suck the normal amount of moisture out of that wood, and then you'd be re-trimming this place, causing secondary damage.
Your doors were warping. I seen doors
Yeah.
warping. Pocket doors just be
Yeah.
stuck in there.
It is possible to dry too
I've done
fast.
that, I seen it.
Yeah. It is possible to dry a place too fast. You can do damage by drying too quickly. So you would spread that gear out. You put a DHU in there, you put a DHU in there, and you put a DHU in here. Still following our strategy and our calculations, but we'd spread it out. And you wouldn't be having power issues in this room.
If we've noticed that we didn't do anything out in that room, can we just remove it from our drying strategy? Because we didn't do any demo, didn't do anything, wasn't affected at all.
You can. Close that door. Close that door, you've all of a sudden reduced your drying chamber. Close Brian's door, you reduce that drying chamber. Now you reduce your equipment. If you have 2 different drying chambers, the calculations don't matter. You still got to have a DHU in one and DHU in the other. So that the calculations become less of a factor when you make chambers. But you definitely need drying in there, you need drying in here. So yeah, I would do that. That'd be a great move. Plus they don't want equipment running out there anyway. So in here, in Brian's office, what do we got in there? We got an air mover and we got a DHU. Make up a number. Put in the date. You will notice that there is a complete lack of follow-up items on here. That's intentional. Do all the demo the first day. Do all the first or second day. Demo first. We don't want to come back 3 days from now and do additional demolition.
Unless the carpet's still wet.
I can say.
That's the carpet's wet. Then we make the call later. But there's not going to be a form for you, a spot on the form to fill that out. All right, we've got our equipment documented. Final atmospherics. That gets you, what am I doing with my final atmospherics? What do we have? Go to your RDC, and what spot is not filled out? Oh. The DHU reading, yes. This tells me, more importantly, it tells the insurance company my equipment is functioning properly. I'm not adding moisture to the air. The problem I've run into before is where these are only accurate to plus or minus 4%. And my reading over here and my reading here, if I do the math, it shows that I'm adding moisture to the air for some reason. I know intuitively I'm not because the machine is running and operating properly. But with the margin of error in these, when you get down to less than 3 GPP difference, insurance companies, especially farmers, will say, I'm not renting this machine to you because you're not actually reducing the moisture in the air. So the reason I'm bringing that up is because when you take this reading, keep in mind that you want this to be as low as possible. So if you want to adjust for what you know is a 3 or 4% difference in here, if this is, let's say this is 78 degrees and 55.2 RH, make it 54 RH. Because you know this is, just go down there. But don't spend too much time on it, because I'm going to look at the GPP as well when I'm writing up my reports, and I'm going to adjust that GPP. There's a game there, it's an unfortunate game that especially farmers plays, that they say, well, it's just another way to take equipment off jobs and not rent you equipment.
At the same time, if we're already waiting for the 10 minutes to make sure all the electrical's good, I usually take my readings after I know that. So 10 minutes later, that's going to be lower than the actual.
Yeah, because this will be warmed up and firing on all cylinders.
You need pictures of those when you take that? You don't have to go that.
No, don't take pictures. If you want to document things like stud walls that are wet, I've done that. You take out your invasive, stick it in there, beep, and you just take a picture of it.
Okay.
You don't need that. I've never been asked for a picture of my moisture reading because it's documented.
Right?
Not yet.
Right.
Exactly.
So you don't know.
If you got a camera in your hand,
Take a picture.
take a picture of it. Okay.
So you've done that.
19. You initialed your RDC, number 18. 19. Review all the paperwork.
Before you finish that, don't forget the equipment sheet for the customer too.
Explain that to me. What is this this equipment sheet?
That is documents that has been left, and so if it disappears,
Unplugged, disturbed.
it also tells the customer what to expect.
Can we,
They're noisy.
okay.
People shut them down all the time.
do we have to list the equipment on here? Or can we refer to our room note sheet?
As long as we have something that says we had one humidifier, one,
Well, we'll have pictures of it and it'll be on the notes.
But this is for the customer. So,
Mhm.
so this is our contract with the customer, that we're doing.
Okay. So we're just leaving equipment there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be noisy, it's going to be hot,
That happens.
and it needs to stay on. And they shut it off.
Yeah, they'll shut it off.
They-
Unless they.
Aren't there?
Yeah, they shut them off. And that is what it is. We're dealing with people's houses and their living spaces. And if they need to be comfortable at night and turn off the machine, so be it. We'll come back in, we'll turn them back on. If we got to add more equipment to compensate for that, that's a specialty drying situation, we'll add more equipment.
You also want to know on that too, right? Because it's going to delay your drying time.
It's going to delay the drying time. So we'll know that day too. It's not drying.
Right.
It's not drying. We don't even, we don't, there's no place on this paperwork, oh, customer turned off. You can, on your room notes, you can say when you came back, you're going to bring your room notes back, say, hey, equipment was off.
We put that on the daily report.
Put it on a daily report. Equipment was off.
And if it's taking too long to dry out, it's gonna be a red flag, and you might be thinking why, and
Yeah, day 3,
I think
day 2.5, we're not seeing, this trend. We got to reevaluate. We got to change our drying strategy. That's okay. It's fair. It's a game. We adjust to the game conditions.
Do you document your hours on your equipment at all
Nope.
anywhere?
Just days.
Okay, so what if day 1, you had that problem, you came back in the next day and all your equipment was off, and you told the customer, listen, you're causing this to create more
And you're
problems.
reevaluating your drying strategy.
Yeah, what happens is, all of a sudden, you turn it on, you leave, well, they shut it off, but they know you're gonna be there at 8 o'clock, so they fire it back up. So you show up and it's running. If you don't keep track of that hours, and all of a sudden your drying process keeps extending, you're not worried about that?
We're not here to play cop. We're not here to play cop.
that's
It's
what
in
I was
their
wondering.
best
Dry or
interest
not?
for to dry, right?
Say that again?
It's in their best interest for the place
It
to
is.
dry.
Yeah, it
Well,
is.
that's what I was wondering, Andy, if you're
But I
saying
don't
it's
want us
not
to
drying,
panic. I
you're
don't want-
starting to ask why.
We're not gonna panic.
I don't want us to
It's
panic
not
and go,
drying.
what did we
Question.
miss? Where's there more problems? It's not doing what it should be doing.
Usually,
I
if
just want everyone to be thinking.
Sure, absolutely. It's a good point. And it's about situational awareness. The situation is going to change day to day. You're going to come in. This is not going to be the same room that you left yesterday. And so you take your readings again. That's why we have our RDC. We take our readings again. We make sure our equipment's still functioning. We take our moisture points again and we track it. If we've got to add double the equipment to get this thing dry, well, guess what? That's what we got to do.
Because I'm sure you've had it on that situation where Pat's talking about, if it's not drying, but the equipment's on when you come in, you probably, on occasion, have had a conversation with the homeowner. Are you guys turning this off at some point while we're not here?
Yeah.
I mean, if it's not drying, there's something wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, something gives you a red flag.
And there's nothing in our contract that says we're renting a machine as long as it's on. We're renting a machine because it's there.
It's in your house.
It's in your house. It's not in our possession. And we can't make money with this machine anywhere else because it's in your possession. You're going to pay us for that. If you want to pay us more because you're not leaving it on, you know. And as far as the insurance company goes, that's their problem. That's the owner and the insurance company. We're doing our job to the best of our ability, and we're not taking other people's problems and making our own. So review the paperwork. Make sure that go through your room notes one more time. Go through your RDC one more time. Make sure there's no blanks in there that would cause you pause. And then go back to the owner. Hey, done. We're leaving for the day. When can we come back? We'd like to come back sometime tomorrow. What works for you? Put a time there. That time comes back, it goes to Claudine or whoever does the scheduling. So it may not be you. It may be somebody else that goes back. You've got to follow up every day. And the very last thing, in time. So what time is it right now? 7:47 a.m. I overshot a little bit. Sorry, Pat.
And would it be best?
And that's that. I'm going to turn this off.
For the guys in the field, Pat, Dave, and John, would it be best if when they say, when should we come back,